Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2002 NASA Honor Award Ceremony. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. This is one of the enjoyable opportunities that we have to recognize the people of the NASA family who have made outstanding contributions to the accomplishment of the NASA missions. So let's start today by having everyone rise for the presentation of colors by the Military District of Washington's Joint Armed Forces Color Guard, and remain standing during the performance of the national anthem by Amiga Jones.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Like shoulder. Whoo. Okay. Okay, please be seated. Our appreciation to the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard and to Amiga Jones for once again doing an outstanding job. Let's give her a round of applause. And now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Sean O'Keefe, our administrator, for a few remarks.
Thank you, Dan, for both welcoming our honored guests and their families and friends of NASA. Delighted to help honor today a select group of NASA and contract employees and members of our international partnership for extraordinary contributions to NASA's aeronautics and space program. We celebrate today the hard work, outstanding teamwork, and sheer brilliance that went into a number of impressive accomplishments that are helping to advance NASA's vision of improving life here, extending life to there, and finding life beyond. Building on an extraordinary record of accomplishment, Our awardees have helped NASA develop revolutionary technologies and manage complex programs that are enabling us to pioneer the future on a daily basis. Now, I've been on the job here all of vast experience of 6 months, and not a day that goes by that I'm not amazed by what our people do and by the tremendous hold that NASA has on public imagination. The reason that the public cares so much about NASA is you've exhibited the kind of characteristics that I think so many folks throughout our great nation are proud of. And thanks to you, we're making great strides in our effort to improve aviation safety, efficiency, probe more deeply into the mysteries of the universe, learn more on how to propel robotic emissaries more swiftly through the solar system, and work to better understand the dynamics of the Earth's climate. The contributions we recognize today are our 2002 honorees and awards, which are truly stunning. Consider, for example, our FUSE work team effort to examine the forces and processes involved in the evolution of galaxies, stars, and planetary systems, to obtain a fossil record of the early universe, if you will. What they've done by peering into the farthest recesses of the universe is provide scientists with virtual clues which may well lead to a revolution of our understanding of the cosmic evolution. Our awards also encompass work done closer to home. Thanks to many outstanding contributions to the International Space Station project, we are the first generation privileged to live at a time when we'll always have men and women living in and investigating and exploring the realm outside of our planetary home. Fittingly, we honor today many of the astronauts, scientists, and engineers who have turned the 20th century dream of creating a world-class laboratory in the sky into a 21st century reality. Now, of course, there's more to celebrating about the people and accomplishments we recognize today, much more. In the past 6 months, the Hubble Large Space Telescope was given its 300 million mile checkup and servicing by the STS-109 crew, and continues to expand our knowledge of the universe by leaps and bounds, and literally is rewriting the astronomy books. This spring, our Mars Odyssey spacecraft discovered evidence of large quantities of water under the surface of the red planet. In June, NASA scientists announced the discovery of a planetary system much like our own, circling a nearby star. It would take us 1 million miles to reach. Also among our honorees today is a space station astronaut, Frank Culbertson, a gent I've come to know in the last 6 months and admire a great deal. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today. He's in San Diego. I spoke to him this morning by phone, and he was disappointed he couldn't be here. But he nonetheless kind of epitomizes in my mind so much of what is absolutely extraordinary about this agency. I'm sure most of you have had the opportunity to hear tell of Frank's remarkable story about being the only American not on this planet on September 11th when the terrorist attacks took place. The day after those attacks occurred, from his vantage point aboard the International Space Station, Frank told the people of New York City that despite being able to see plumes of gray smoke coming from lower Manhattan, he could also see the enduring beauty of the greater New York metropolitan region. With those words, Frank helped millions of people find welcome comfort and an endurance in the American spirit. And to Frank, we appreciate the way he handled the unbreakable spirit of NASA and our country during those dark hours with such dignity and thoughtfulness. It is so fitting that we honor so many folks here in a room named for a guy who really was, in his own right, in so many ways, the epitome of NASA. And Dan Mulville and so many like him are character, I think, examples of James E. Webb. A fellow who, if you look back in the history of this great agency, was a guy who, while he presided and was involved in NASA's tremendous accomplishments during the most storied period of our history, during the Apollo days, nonetheless, in almost every picture you'll note of him, he was in the background. He was a gentleman who always recognized the extraordinary accomplishments of those who served here as the primary reason why this agency was defined as it was. And yet a guy who had a remarkable record of his own as a public servant. and yet very rarely was it ever really extolled. A fellow who had served as the director of the Bureau of the Budget before becoming NASA administrator, as well as Deputy Secretary of State, an accomplished businessman, an industrialist, really extraordinary talent in his own right. And so it's fitting we recognize so many people who have had an awful lot to do with how this agency defines itself in a room that is named for a gent who in so many ways epitomizes the very best about this agency. Last week, during the celebration of our nation's independence, hundreds of thousands of Washingtonians and tourists went to our nation's mall to visit the Silk Road exhibit, a display which highlights the vast thoroughfare that linked people and cultures from the Italian city-states through the desolate mountains and deserts of Central Asia to the coast of China. Sometime from now, the Smithsonian Institution will no doubt have a festival celebrating the new Silk Road to the planets. And if you look around you, the people in this room, those who've all descended from James E. Webb and the fine traditions he began, are the ones who will build that road. And as public servants, we should all be privileged to be associated with such people and call them colleagues. And so on behalf of the entire NASA team, you have our sincere appreciation today and all year long for what you do to pioneer the space frontier and to fulfill the mission and objectives this agency was founded for. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2002 Agency Honor Award ceremony. At this time, we will begin with the honor awards. Today at headquarters, we are recognizing 53 awardees. Our first category is the Public Service Group Achievement Award, which is given to a group of non-government employees in recognition of outstanding accomplishments that have contributed substantially to the NASA mission. Today, we honor one in this category. Employee Assistance Program Professionals. The Distinguished Public Service Medal is awarded to any individual who is not an employee of the federal government or was not a government employee during the period in which the service was performed. The award is granted only to individuals whose distinguished accomplishments contributed substantially to the NASA mission. The contributions must be so extraordinary that other forms of recognition by NASA would be inadequate. This is the highest honor that NASA confers to a non-government individual. Today, we honor 3 in this category. Audrey Milroy, Lockheed Martin Space Operations, for your exemplary leadership and skill in directing the Enhanced Huntsville Operations Support Center System software development project in support of International Space Station payload operations. R.K. Chetty Pandipati, QSS Group Incorporated, in recognition of your sustained contributions to NASA missions through the training of spacecraft engineers and the development of electrical power systems for space applications. Gerald W. Smith, ATK Thiokol Propulsion, for your exemplary contributions, outstanding leadership, and personal dedication to the Space Shuttle program, thus providing the nation's space program with safe and reliable flight hardware. The Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to any person in the federal service who by distinguished service, ability, or courage has personally made a contribution representing substantial progress to the NASA mission in the interests of the United States. The contribution must be so extraordinary that the other forms of recognition by NASA would be inadequate. This is the highest honor that NASA confers. Today, we honor 12 in this category. This concludes the award presentations. Thank you.